here's the next monster I picked up. 1300cc 2008 Yamaha V-Star 1300cc Tour. This one has everything. Hard packs, fuel injection, sweet ass radio, digital dash. Look at this, man. Full dresser. Full dresser. She is gorgeous. Somebody even updated the lighting on the back, so when you hit the brakes, these flash. Like somebody spent some money. Cobra. Custom Cobra exhaust, Mustang seat setup on it. This puppy just needs a fuel pump and the tank cleaned. It's been sitting a while. I'm pretty sure I can get her cranked up though. So now we got two V-Stars in the garage. However, this one rips. This one's ready to go. I'm still trying to figure out a little carb issue with my personal bike here. I don't know what the hell's going on with my right carburetor. It's giving me a lot of problems. But I'm getting ready to push this big girl in the garage. This is a big bike. Big bike. And I gotta pull out my motorcycle lift over there, get it up to where I can pop that underneath there, jack it up, and have a good look at what's going on with this bike. But yeah, man, a sweet rig here. I like it. Definitely a sweet rig. Shouldn't take too much to get her going again. So I'm hoping that, I mean, Buddy said he changed the fuel pump, but here's the problem with what he did. He was like, oh, it's not getting fuel, so he changed the fuel pump. And then there was a bunch of rust in the tank, which that rust ended up going through the line. And if you look in the bottom of here, you can see there's a bunch of rust, which then made it down into the reservoir tank, which then got sucked up into the fuel injection system. So now I'm sure all the injectors are probably just very, very clogged up and are going to need to be blasted and cleaned before this bike will function again how it should. So I got a little work ahead of me with this bike, but beautiful bike. We got it for a pretty darn good deal, so yeah. After I finish fixing it, we'll give it a really good cleanup, and this thing should be ready to rip, chip. Alright guys, I got the 1300 torn down. You know, we brought it in last night. It had an oil leak. I thought it had an oil leak, which there's a lot of oil in there at this point. It dripped all in the back of my truck. I was like, oh no, man, please don't tell me the engine case is cracked. It's not. It was a leaking oil filter, and actually it has the wrong oil filter on it, which is why it's leaking. It's bottomed out and you can't go any tighter, so it wasn't making a very good seal. I don't know where they got it from, but I'm going to order the correct one that goes to this machine. So I've already pulled the reserve tank. I also have the other tank off now, so she's stripped. She's a naked girl right now. And I got the reserve over here. I can see there was repair done to the bottom of it, because you can see that they did a little RTV on the bottom here. Looks solid, so I'll inspect it once I pull it and make sure that they did a good job. Looks like it would hold up pretty good, but I need to pull this apart. I do hear the fuel pump working, but I connected a few different lines to it and stuck it in raw gas, and I didn't get it to produce any fuel coming out of here. So I'm going to pull this apart and see what happens, because when I tipped this upside down, a shitload of orange rust water came out. So I'm very curious how much rust is inside this thing, honestly. So that'll be the next step. Pull this apart. But anytime I turn the key, it primed the fuel pump. Just nothing was happening, so I'm assuming something has happened to the fuel pump inside of here. Even though it's kicking, I'm not sure it's actually working or producing any pressure at all, and I'm guessing that's because the fuel pump that he put in here probably was cheap, most likely, and just didn't last very long. He said he rode it for 100 miles and then it just stopped. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this fuel pump in here failed somehow internally, and if I had to take a guess, shot in the dark with all the orange crap that poured out of here, once again probably sucked up all that rust particles and debris and wore out the inside of the pump really fast. So even if the motor's spinning inside the pump, I don't think it's gonna do anything. So yeah, so next step, go down and get some CLR, drain the gas that's in that tank, CLR the living crap out of the interior of that tank, flush it a few times, and till we get clean water coming out, and then we'll go ahead and run a few coats of normal gas in it to get the water out. We'll fill it to the top a few times and then drain it all out so all the water comes out. If you guys don't know, water settles at the bottom of a gas tank. So when you go to drain it, all the water comes out, and when you drain it off into a bucket and you re-pour the gas into another container, the water actually separates from the fuel, and it's the last part of the liquid left in the bucket when you pour it back in. So you can actually remove the water really easily. So just in case you guys didn't know, that's a really quick way to do it. So I think starting off here, I've got Spark. We know it runs because I heard it run. It also fired up when I first got there for a couple seconds when he turned it over, so we know that at least the fuel injectors are priming, but they're not getting anywhere near the PSI that they need to actually fire and get the pulse indicator. So yes, I think I'm going to tear this apart, figure out what oil fuel pump I need, and we'll start in that general direction. If the inside of this tank needs to be cleaned, I'm going to do that at the same time that we do the big tank. So, wow. Oh god, there was water in there and all sorts of stuff. It doesn't even smell good. It doesn't even smell like gas. It smells like varnish mixed with gas mixed with water. There's so much debris in this. This is so lovely. So very lovely. This bike was never going to run. I don't even know what they were attempting to do. Oh my goodness. Shelby, what was your dad doing? Holy cow. Alright, well, I gotta go down, get some CLR, so I'll be back. Alright guys, all apart. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was in there. We should be okay with this. Gasket still looks like it's in good shape. All the bolts are there. Here's the fuel pump. So, I'm not gonna take this one apart to replace the bottom of it. I think I'm just gonna order a whole unit. It's just like a car. That's crazy. It's like a tiny car fuel pump. You know what I mean? So I'll see if I can just buy the entire unit instead of pulling this apart and just replacing the pump that's inside of it, but I'm fairly certain this thing has failed. So, and that's unfortunate. It really is. It's super unfortunate that that's the case, but it looks like it is what it is. Okay, so here's where I'm at. There is a lot of flake rust in here, but I think it's fine. And you can see all the flake rust in here. Watch what happens when I move this. See all the flake rust at the bottom? That big pile of flake rust right there? Yeah, so there's a ton of flake rust in that tank. One CLR bath, and I think we can solve all of this tank's problems. And then when I'm done, I'll coat the inside with WD-40 to keep it from flash rusting. And as long as whoever's riding this puts ethanol-free fuel in here, it shouldn't keep rusting. As long as you don't have that ethanol content to keep moisture in the tank, it shouldn't keep rusting. So you shouldn't have to recoat the interior of the tank. So I'm going to drain this and I'm done for the day. That's how far we've made it. You guys have seen the project so far. I kind of have a really good idea as to where we need to head from here now that I've got it all torn apart. So should be good to go. Yeah. There you go. That is a huge pile of flake rust. And there's still more in the tank. You can also see the water pooling up. That's not gas, that's water pooling up. I can see the water versus the gas. You can see the water transitioning the gas. Yep, there's definitely a lot of rust in that tank. Okay.
Are you sure this is okay? You're in country, dude. Live a little. Now she's pretty sensitive, so go easy on the throttle, okay? All right.